Hello everybody, I am back and we are going to jump in to canning something yummy today. I was planning on doing green beans, but when I went to the grocery store there were no green beans I felt were fresh enough to can. So I changed my mind and I changed our plans, and we are going to can some mixed berry jam. First, before we go into that, I want to show you all of the things that you're going to need and just a couple of extra things that I thought would be a good thing to share with people who have never canned before. So come with me. All right, here is my setup. Now, normally I do not have this kind of setup. This is done specifically for y'all's benefit. Usually when I'm canning, my kitchen is a chaotic, clean disaster. So first things first is I am going to use my pressure canner, and I will explain why, and I'll show you how to do that for jam once we get to that point. I wanted to show you the canning books. This one, the Ball Blue book, is a good standard book to have when you begin canning. Basically though, once you have one Ball Blue book, you have them all. So only get one, don't bother, unless you really want to, don't bother getting any more. This other one I have loved so far. I want to make a lot more of hers, but this one is fantastic as well. This has a lot more different canning recipes, a lot more variety, and she just gives a lot of great information. So you can see here, canning fundamentals, pressure canner's kitchen, and then your first batches, just to start off really easy. So I really like this book, and I can't wait to can more from it. So there's that. I have my insert ready. I have clean towels, clean utensils. I've washed my bands. I've washed all my lids that I need. All my jars have been washed and sterilized. I wash them in my dishwasher. A lot of people might tell you that you can wash just by hand, and that's fine. But I prefer, if I'm going to do a big load, I just prefer to throw everything in the dishwasher, and that way it's way easier for me. And then they're washing while I'm prepping my food. For jam, you're going to need some type of pectin. It's not necessary. There is jam that you can make without pectin. That's totally fine. It's just going to take you longer. So you can use the liquid pectin. This just comes in a little pouch, and you empty the whole pouch into your fruit at the correct time. But this one does require sugar. Okay, so if you are on a low sugar diet, or if you just prefer not to have as much sugar or any sugar in your jam or jellies, then you're going to need this one. This is from Ball, low or no sugar needed pectin. So this is great. I've been using this. I have used this. They're both wonderful. Either one is totally fine. My utensils, here's my ladle to ladle the really hot jam into the jars, my debubbler, my jar lifter, a clean towel to wipe the rims of my jars. And I wanted to share with you two things. So these jars are brand new. I haven't used them yet. And they came with brand new lids and rings. Sometimes you need to be aware that brand new lids can be damaged. So you need to make sure that even if it comes in a pre-packaged and everything's been sealed and all of that stuff, you can still get a lid or a ring that does not work. And so I just wanted to show you what that looked like. From the top, it looks totally fine. But when you turn it over to clean it, you can see that this is damaged. So this lid needs to go in the trash. You can't use this unless you use it for art projects or something like that. So this is going in the trash. Now this one, I believe I have used before, but as I was washing it, I felt here, this is why it's so important to pay attention to your lids. This is rough, and it feels like it might be rusty. So this batch of lids I was not real happy with, actually, and I don't think you can see it, but I can feel it. And so this lid, you don't want rusty lids because rust is not good for your preserved food. So just as you're washing your lids, even if they've just come out of a box, make sure you check them. Make sure that they don't have scratches on them that show the metal underneath, and make sure there's no rust or damaged pieces like this one. So there's that. This is a really cool jar opener that I will share with you later. I got that from Etsy. Now over here, I wanted to show you, yesterday I did a batch of jam. Now I did not use any sugar, I didn't use any sweetener, it's just the blackberries. So I got 3.5 jars. So these 3 all sealed. This one did not go, it was not able to fill it all the way. I think it went up to like here. And when you can something, the headspace is super important for the sealing process. So if you are not able to fill a jar all the way up to the proper headspace, you can either put it in the fridge, which is what I did. So I just put this in the fridge to use right away. Or you can make more and can it again. I also wanted to show you this just for fun. So this is a jam that I did probably a month ago. No, longer. It's been in the fridge for about a month. So hold on. So this is what is called a soft spread. And when I first made it, I had no idea what that meant. But jam, this you can see, I mean, that's not going anywhere. That's very gelled. Wonderful. The soft spread, I mean, it's very soft, but the flavor is fantastic. My kids love the soft spread, and I have to admit that it's quite tasty myself. So there is a difference between jam and soft spread. The soft spread I did find in the ball book. So it's just something that I found interesting that I thought I would share, because if somebody sees that recipe, sees it's a little different than a jam recipe. Sorry, I'm putting the lid back on the jam. And you have no idea what it is, well, now you do. So there's those. I already have some of the fruit crushed from last night. This was in the fridge. I just pulled this out. So it's crushed fruit. I have a mix of blackberries, strawberries, blueberries maybe in there. It's just, but mostly blackberries. Then I have a few more boxes that I'm going to go ahead and wash and then crush. And once I do that, I will come back to you and we will begin. Okay, so here I just take a potato smasher and get those nicely smushed. If you don't like seeds in your jam, then you can always strain it and take out those seeds, but I don't mind them. So if Mama don't mind them, the kids are gonna get a chance to avoid any dissent here. So the kids will be eating what I make. That's the benefit of being the canner in the house, right? Being the mom. All right, so there's that. Now I just need 4 cups, so I'm going to fill it up to here, maybe a little bit more, because yesterday I really did want to get a full 4 half pints. I was kind of bummed that it didn't work out that way, so I might add a little bit more. Okay, so this is what's left. Yeah, it's close enough, right? Okay, so let me go get my dish and my pectin ready and we will begin. Okay, so now we are ready. I have the fruit in the pan or the pot. I've got my pectin ready, and I have this sweetener that I'm choosing to use right over here. I'm actually going to sweeten it up with a bit of stevia. That's what we use here. And the previous batch that I made without the sweetener, my kids they enjoyed it, but they told me that they wished it was a little bit sweeter. My husband loved it, but the kids wanted it a little bit sweeter. So I am going to add a little bit of sweetness to this, and stevia is totally fine and totally safe to use in canned products. So let's get started. All right, in this recipe we need to add some unsweetened apple juice. So I have it measured here, 2/3 cup. Please don't mind my stove. It is a real working stove. And I would love a new one, but this one works. So there's that. I'm gonna turn on the flame. Now, this is going to make a mess, so please be aware that when you make jam, it's going to get messy. You're going to have splatters everywhere. It's going to be hot. If you get splattered with it, it's going to be painful. So that's just one of the things that I've never been able to get away from here. All right, so I'm going to take my pectin and grab 3 tablespoons of that and put that slowly in and stir it all around. Okay, so I just got my canner ready. While this is starting to heat up, I will explain to you what we're going to do. There are there's 2 options to make jam or jelly with as far as processing it goes. You can use a water bath canner, which is basically just a giant pot filled all the way to, well, it has to cover about 2 to 3 inches of your jars. So you have the top of your jars, and then the water has to go above 2 to 3 inches to cover it, and then you bring all that water to a boil, and then you close the lid, and once that water has been boiling, or once it comes to a boil, then you start your timer for whatever time it is. For today, it's going to be 10 minutes. That's our processing time. Now, that's how I started, but a water bath canner, a true water bath canner, is extremely heavy, and it takes a lot of time for all of that water to come to a boil. Almost as much time as it does just to complete a pressure canning process, from building up the pressure to the vent, or from the venting to the building up to the pressure, to the actual processing time, to the losing all the pressure. It's about the same time as a water bath can, and to me it's a lot of time. So I found out about steam canning, and I actually got a steam canner itself, like an official one, and it did not go very well because for whatever reason it ended up not holding the steam. A lot of the steam would start to escape, and so I tried to contact the company, and the company wasn't going to help me out. So I decided not to go that route again, and I started thinking, well, I do have a pressure canner that does basically the same thing, because before I'm able to build pressure, I have to let the canner vent, which means that it's steaming for 10 minutes. Or no, yeah, for 10 minutes. And so I thought, well, if that's steaming, why can't I just kind of use that as a makeshift steam canner and do my water bath process in my pressure canner? So I started looking, I started asking questions from experienced canners, and they said that yes, they do that. Some don't. Some use a steam canner, some continue to water bath can, and some have used their pressure canner for a steam canner. So as long as you're following one of those processes, and as long as you're comfortable with it and doing it safely, then those are totally fine. So I have started using my pressure canner to do steam canning, and it's a lot less water. It's a lot lighter, so when I am done, I don't have to carry a giant pot of water across the kitchen with it being really hot and possibly spilling it and making a huge mess and burns and all that stuff. So there's that aspect, and then it's just a lot less time, because when you have less water, it's going to take less time to come up to steam. And that's what I prefer to do at the moment. But if you don't have a pressure canner, you can certainly use the water bath canner, which is found everywhere. You can find it anywhere. It's very inexpensive. I think it's less than $30. It's just basically a giant pot that has a rack in it for you to put your jars in, and that's how you do it. Easy peasy, nothing to it. All right, so I have this ready. I've filled it with water a couple of inches. I have my insert in there, and I have my lid over there. This is working on getting hot. So there's a lot of stirring, a lot of active time when you're making jam, but let me tell you, it is so worth it. It is so good. Like, we don't buy store-bought jam or jelly anymore. I've never made jelly. For one, I don't like it, and number two, I've heard a lot of people just have difficulty making it, getting it to gel properly. It's very finicky, apparently. I cannot attest to it because I've not made it, and I don't plan on making it. But for anybody who really does like jelly, it is a different process, and it's going to just take some trial and error, I think. Even experienced canners have mess ups, and the worst thing that can happen is if it doesn't set or if it doesn't gel, then you have really yummy syrup. So, or, you know, you can put it over ice cream or pancakes or whatever. So it's still not a loss. It's just not going to be a jelly. So that's my main reason for not doing it, is because I don't like jelly and I don't want to mess around with that. Okay, so once this comes to a boil, we will come back and I'll show you that, and we'll keep cooking.